Okay. Well, hello, Kim Reed. I was beginning to wonder if I was on the wrong date. I was like, when I woke up from night shift, like when I got off night shift, I was like, oh, it's the 8th. I'm up for our Throwback Thursday. But then I signed in here and there was such a delay that I was like, uh-oh, maybe I was on the wrong day or in the wrong group. But here we are. How are you, Kim? We'll just hang out for a sec to see if anybody else jumps in, but we'll get started shortly here. Oh, I haven't been on for very long, just a little bit. Hello, Michelle. How are you? I was just a couple minutes late, I think, getting on. I had to go pour a coffee. Just grab a little sip. How is everybody doing today? Looking at the window, it's still beautiful and sunshiny, and all the leaves are coming out on the tree. The blooms are all out. Our red bud in our backyard is really pretty right now. It's actually either at peak or just past peak color. So those pretty pink buds will start falling off the tree soon. That's okay, Deb. You can always catch up later. I'm just trying to see what light is glaring so much on my surface. You try not to have too many reflective surfaces, but it's hard because I want to be bright enough. But recovering from babysitting yesterday. I'm still recovering from work, so we'll be a good pair here. So Throwback Thursday this week, we are going to use this fun set called Cello. Hello, Mary. You feel like you're the replay queen. That's okay. That's why they're available there. So I'll pop this up on the YouTube channel after as well. I still have to pop my one up from last weekend with the International Scrapbook Day celebrations, and Kim released a fun new set called True North Strong and Free. So make sure that you grab that from the shop. If I think I have my card maybe handy. I have, or like a copy of my card anyways that I can show you, because we all created together with that last weekend. So as I said, Throwback Thursday, our chance to play with some of our older stash from our Craft and Kimmy troves. We're gonna use the Cello stamp set. Love, love, love this set. I've used the turtle several times, and the crab cracks me up. I know I've done some watercolored cards with him before. I'm trying to remember. I think I may have used the jellyfish once or twice. I don't know, but I thought we'll use him today, so thought that would be fun. Now, I'm going to show you my underwater scenery stencil, but it's quite stained from previous use. So, but that's okay, because we want to show that we love our supplies. I tried to clean it off, but it's stained a bit. So this is our underwater scenery stencil. It's a layered stencil. I think we're probably just going to use this part of it though, with the fish and the seaweed here tonight. So if you've got that, you can pull that out. Is this stamp still available? It was when I signed up, Kim. Let me just pop over to the website here, and I will grab the link for you. Hold on. Is it not there anymore? Hold on a sec. I hope so. If not, I'm going to have to switch plans up really quick. Oh, no, there it is. And it is on sale. So let me just grab the link. Kim may have already done so. Nope. Here, 1 second. There's the link to the set. So it is available still. And let me just grab the link to the stencil as well. One moment. And then you've got that. I'm also going to use our Totally Taupe ink today. Sorry, just got another window open here, and there's the link to the stencil as well. So that's up for you there. And then I'm going to use our Totally Taupe ink to kind of do a bit of no lines coloring. So I thought I had them stamped up ahead of time here. I'm kind of wondering if I should have used like a pink or a blue ink to go even lighter, but we'll see. Hopefully this will work for us with the Totally Taupe ink. I'm going to use our stencil in a slightly different way. And instead of inking through it, we're going to use it to sketch out a background. I've just got to kind of set my sample up here. One moment. So what I am going to do is have our guy here. Let me just see if I can zoom in for you. And we'll see. We'll make sure that that's not going to be too close. I guess that's my arm causing the shadow. So I'm going to put the stencil down here. And what I want to do is kind of frame him with some seaweed. And I want a couple of fish that are in the background as well. So what I'm going to do is pick out like some little bits of this of the seaweed. And we're going to sketch in. I'm going to just move these a little bit here. Is that going to... Actually, let me move that down. So I'm going to just take this and place it. I think I want the seaweed to come up to about that height here. So I'm going to take just a plain pencil, and it's going to be nice and soft. Well, that's okay, Kim. No worries. I can multitask. I gotcha. So I'm going to take just a light pencil here, and I'm just going to very lightly sketch. Oh, that's just gonna. I'm using my newest phone, and you know, hopefully it's gonna work. I didn't use my last phone when we got new ones, so I've been using like a phone from 2 times ago. Just because I found like it was always jumping around with what it was focusing on. But I was like, the picture's so much better on the newer phones. So, I mean, you're getting a really nice crisp image of my hands there. So hopefully it's not going to spend too much time refocusing, because I really struggled with my last phone with that, which is why I've just been using my old phone. But again, the camera is so much better on these newer ones. So bear with me if there's a little bit of focus issues. I don't know if there's other settings I can do or play around with to fix that. So I've got that initial bit sketched in. I do want it to come down towards where the seafloor is going to be. So I'm just going to pick another little piece of the seaweed here that I think will match up well with it. And I'm going to, maybe I'll do this one here. So I'm just finding a spot on the, no, we'll go with this one. Yeah, we'll go right there. And it's okay if it goes off the edge a little bit, because it adds interest, I find, when your images and background and stuff kind of runs right off the edge there. And if it's not perfect, we're going to, as we color it, make it all work. So it doesn't have to be a perfect sketch. So there we've got one piece of seaweed that is there. And then I want a couple of overlapping pieces. So I might erase a little bit of that there. Why don't I have my eraser handy? Is it in my pencil case? No. Hold on one sec. I'll grab this one here. I'm going to have a piece that overlaps it a bit here. So I'm just going to erase this bit here. And let's bring in another piece. We'll have this one set a little lower into the ground here. Maybe I zoomed in a little too close. I mean, we'll want to be closer when we're coloring, but maybe I went a little too close with this initial zoom. So just going around the stencil there. So now I've got 2 pieces there. And let's add in another one that kind of curves out this way. We'll do this one here. And so I'm just kind of joining it up to the seaweed that I already drew there. Let's just see how that looks. That's good. And then maybe we'll do, I'm just trying to think, on my sample I drew quite a few pieces and it took a while to color there. We'll do this little tiny piece here. And just sketch this out. Okay, so that's that side of the seaweed drawn in. Let's do this side now. So I'm going to start with what's going to be my highest piece. And I'm going to use this part of the stencil here. Sketch that out. And now I have to find a piece to join it to bring it the rest of the way down. Oh, let's see here. Nope, that piece is going to go off. And you can always flip your stencil and use the other side as well. Let me just see here. I'm just trying to find a piece that, that fits well with it. Maybe that piece there. And we'll just have to kind of keep joining it. There we go. Oh, it just kicked me off the view of my video there. I am going to use markers tonight. I am. So once we get this sketched in, we'll be using markers. I started to work on this a little bit when I was at Kim's last week, just to kind of come up with my idea for a project. So I picked my colors out ahead of time. And I'm just picturing where I'm going to have my sea floor. So we'll maybe come down just one more leaf with that one. And then you have to pardon me if I sound a little gruff. I think I'm fighting something. I'm not feeling the best, to be honest. Kind of started yesterday, and I just have a headache and just not feeling amazing. But I'm determined to not let that affect enjoying my days off, because like I said, I just came off this morning from work, so I'm a little brain foggy right now. And then maybe we'll just do one other piece that's coming in this area here. And we'll do this piece here. There we go. All right. Now I want to use, it is customized seaweed. So that's what I kind of like, that our stencils, I mean, yes, traditionally you're going to use them like with inks to go through, but you can use them in many different ways, like with paste, etc. But you can also use them to kind of sketch out your background like that. So we're going to add a couple of the fish in. I'm going to put one of the bigger ones right up here. Kind of wondering if I should have colored my water first. I think I did that on my sample, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it doesn't smudge my pencil lines too much. Because I'm just remembering now that, yeah, I did the water first and then sketched it after. So put a couple little fish in there. Maybe we'll put one that is peeking out from behind the seaweed here. Or just coming out from behind it. And then we'll maybe do one more wee little fish down here. Yeah, I think I did do my water first, but that's okay. All right, so let's see how this goes here. So for my water, and I'm pretty sure that I had used a mix of Copics and Ohuhus. So I think I started off with B000 from my Copics. I'm going to move my little, I thought I was going to need to anchor my piece of paper down, but I really didn't need to. So I'm going to just bring my light in a bit more. I'm really hoping it doesn't glare too much because I feel like we need a little bit more light there. Okay. Now actually I'm wondering, when I used my B000, it may have been a bit dry, but we're going to start to take that B000, and I don't mind if I go right over the fish here, and I'm just going to start to streak some colors in. Yeah, I probably should have done the water first, but that's okay. And I'm just bringing that in some streaks. I'm not worrying about, I'm going right over top of the seaweed here, okay, because it's going to be green, so it'll blend well. And I'm just picturing where I have my floor of the sea coming in. Now, with all these little bits in here, I'll just kind of sketch them in with a bit of blue. If that pencil really streaks a lot, what I might do is bring in the sample piece that I already did. But yeah, maybe if you haven't already come this far, you can do the seaweed after you've done your water. So I'm just coming in with streaks. Really messy. And then I know I came in with some of my Ohuhus, but you can use your Copics, whatever you have. I just picked several different blues. So I'm just going to grab these ones out now, and they were BG4, which is this color. So I'm kind of using turquoisey colors. So BG4, I used BG68, and I used PB7. Came to my attention when I was at Kim's that apparently Ohuhus are really hard to get right now because of the whole coloring craze on TikTok. So who knew? I didn't know. Anyways, I'm going to go in with the BG4, and same thing. I'm just going to start to do just some streaks. Now, I'll try not to go over the main body of the jellyfish too much, just because I'm going to kind of do him in like a pinky purple color. So kind of wavy lines, just sketch them in. Trust the process here. And then we'll layer in a slightly darker color. We'll do the BG68. And I'm just trying to create that wavy look to the water. As I use the darker colors, I won't put as much of the darker ones in. I'm trying to do like a single stroke, if you will. And wavy because we're trying to create like the movement in the water. Oops. Okay, and then my PB7. Help if I open the right end of the marker, eh? Okay. And then I'm going to go back to my lighter color of the Ohuhu, which was the the BG4. And we'll just start to color in all the gaps here. Creating that movement there. I should really get a scrap piece of paper here. I don't know if I have any though. One moment. Nope, not that one. Here, let me put this in here. There we go. Okay. I'm coloring on Nina cardstock. We'll work in amongst his little like tentacles shortly here. So like you're seeing, I'm going right in over top of that seaweed because we're going to go in with green over top of it. And even the goldfish, we're going to make them work over top of the blue. I'm going to go back with this kind of mid-range, the BG68. Again, these are Ohuhus. And add a few more streaks in with that. And I know this looks terrible right now, but trust the process. And then let's go in with our BG000, which was the Copic here. And I'm going to just kind of go over everything here. I think this marker was getting a little dry on me. I meant to fill it. We'll start to blend a little bit out with that. And then we'll go back in with the lightest color of the Ohuhu again, which was my BG4, if you have these ones. And we'll just start going over it a little heavier now, filling in the gaps. Going in with a little bit more pressure to kind of blend those streaks together, and being a little bit more finicky now about going around my image edge there. Kim, you don't give yourself enough credit. You are a fantastic artist. So yeah, just working in those wavy streaks here. Takes a bit of time to fill up your card. I'm planning this out for a 5.5 by 4.25 card, and it's a little smaller because I'm planning to have like one matting layer when I'm done it. And truthfully, in this circumstance, it's probably a time that we could use the chisel end of the marker, which I hardly ever use, but for a big spans like this, it's going to lay down quicker and probably work a little better for blending there. So as you can see, that softened out those streaks of water there. Well, that's rude, Kim. I am not a fibber. I tell the truth. Actually, hold on. I'm going to get that brush end here just to get around the fussy areas. I'm going to go right over those. The bubbles here are part of the jellyfish stamp. So we'll incorporate those in afterwards. So just getting those fussy areas first. And like I said, I'll fill in between the tentacles in a minute here. And let's go back in with that chisel tip, because in the interest of time, well, it blends nicely too, but y'all don't need to sit here and watch for an hour while we just color some wavy water here. And I can still see those pencil lines through, so that's going to work out just fine. Just making sure that I'm staying in the frame here. And I'm not going perfectly straight across because I want a little bit of flow to the ocean floor here as well. Okay, I'm just going to go back in with that BG68 again. I don't think I'll need to add too many more of the darkest streaks, but just a couple more of the mid-range. And then back in with that lightest color again. Oops, sorry. Just to blend that out. Okay, and then we'll use, actually we'll just go in a little bit more around his head here too, just to smooth that out. And now let's get into these areas a little better here. Oh, thank you, Kim. It's just simple. Like, the things don't have to take a long time. As you see, it kind of started off scribbly, and y'all were probably thinking, what on earth is she doing? But that's the beauty of alcohol markers, because they blend out so nicely. And you just use those similar colors there and a lighter color to blend them out, and voila! Extra points if you know who I just quoted there. Okay. Not being too fussy here. I think that'll do it for that. Now let me just put my markers back on, or the lids back on here. A voila! Who said it? Who said it? Well, look at that. Kim just put the Shello stamp set on an even bigger discount. So I did link it earlier, but Kim's just linked it again for you there. Sorry, pausing for a coffee break. How about if I say a voila? The whole quote, I believe, is a little twist here and a yank there, and voila! You've got an aesthetically pleasing configuration of hair that humans go nuts over. Now, who said it? In case you couldn't tell, yeah, me quoting it like precisely, it's from my favorite Disney movie. Well, one of my favorite. It's right up there. I mean, I've got a few that I absolutely love, but that is definitely a favorite of mine. So there is our background water done. For our sand, I've just got to grab those colors out now. I used Aloe Hoo-Hoos for this one. Let me just pull them out here. I should have pulled them out ahead of time. Sorry. E280. which should be in this section right here. There it is. It wasn't Sebastian who said it. Keep guessing. It wasn't Sebastian. But you've got the right movie. So that was, sorry, 280. Sebastian's a little too smart to have said that part. Yes, but what was the bird's name, everybody? 280, E, 210, E, 220. Ah, there you go, Michelle. It was Scuttle. E, 220, E, E170. Why can't I see you? I know it's right there. What's my other one that I'm looking for? E310. E170, did I say? I sure did. Okay, so I've got just a collection of browns with the dingle hopper. It's true. Now you really have the points, right? It's a dingle hopper. Oh, it cracks me up. Okay, so collection of browns from light to dark. And we'll start off with this light one here, and we'll start to sketch in. So I've almost lost it, but I do have that one piece of, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to rethink this here. And, no, I did do the ground first. Sorry. I'm going to start to sketch this in. I've got the one piece of seaweed here, and I've kind of got them landing at different points in the sandy bottom here. Now, that first little streak over there looked a little green as it got into the blue, but don't worry. It's okay. I've got to make sure to stay in the frame here. Okay. And do kind of the same thing. Very streaky and loose. And again, keeping with the, what's the word I'm looking for? The loose strokes here, because I want some flow and movement. Okay. So, E210 we'll go in next with. Just start to plan out a little bit darker here. And we'll go back and start to tweak it like as we plant our seaweed in the ground here. The dingle hopper and what was the other one? The snarflap. And then he was going to play music with the snarflap, which was actually the pipe. And then Ariel was like, music, the concert. My father's going to kill me. I'm going to go to like my next. So it's kind of in the mid brown range. This one's E220. It's actually been a bit since I've watched that movie. I need to watch it again. I think I really loved it too, because being a redhead, it was just nice to see another redhead in the movies. And then along came Merida, who I adore Merida as well. She's sassy and a little strong-willed, and also very much like me with my personality. So I do really love Brave as well, another fantastic movie. So yeah, Ariel and Merida. E170. So this one is getting a little bit darker. I think I use this one for adding like some little dots as well. But I'm just adding just little bits to that sandy floor. And I think I'll wait for the darkest color till last. But we'll just start to work back a little bit through the different tones here. And again, whether you're using these markers or Copics, it's all going to work. So let me just see here, E210. No, it doesn't hurt that she had red hair. So I'm just starting to fill in more of the white on the paper here. And I'll go in with my lightest one here now. Again, doesn't matter which brand of markers you're using. I'm just going to go right over top of where the green is going to come down for that seaweed here. I'm going to go back to one of my mid browns here. And then we'll go back to this color here, which is, I think, my second lightest. And really, I'm just kind of smooshing them all together right now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of us here are probably Disney fans. Okay, and then I'll go back in with my lightest one here and just go over it again. And they're all just blending so nicely together there. And then I'll go in with kind of the mid brown again and just, again, build up some of these areas here. I'm not putting a whole lot of thought into this, as you can see. I'm just going at it. Okay, and then bring in, I'm kind of doing it like a dotting motion. But we can do this a little bit later as well. Like once we actually get the seaweed drawn in. And then just sort of blend those out a bit. So we can add some more texture in later. But I think for now that at least establishes the ground. And it makes us feel like we're building a scene. It's kind of nice to whack in some of those colors and stuff, get them in there so you can feel like, hey, look at what I've accomplished so far. Okay. So for the seaweed, I am going to, I'm just looking here and I don't think I wrote down what colors I used for the seaweed. That's terrible. Okay, hold on a sec. I've got to try to, I can't believe I didn't write that down. I need to try to look at my color chart here and remember which ones I used. So I know I used G220 and G240 from the Ohuhu range. And I think, what's it? I can't believe I didn't write those colors down. Well, let's just start with those ones. I must have put them away before I did. So I'm using a light color green. It's kind of a bluey green, if you want to see it there. And I'm going to start to plot out these seaweed branches here that we drew in. So I'm just going to go ahead and color like the whole thing. And then we'll work on developing some shading and dimension after that, after we get the base layer in here. So like I said, you could have done all of this first, the water, and then come in and use the stencil to sketch in your seaweed after, but this worked okay. And you could have really gone to town with a ton of layers with the seaweed. But in the interest of time, I didn't want to have too much to do here, because otherwise we would have been here all night, which isn't the worst. We could have all hung out together all night long. Had to try to sneak in watching little bits of the game, the Toronto game last night at work, as I was like going in, you know, for patients and doing like their nighttime meds and helping them get settled for bed and stuff. Luckily pretty much every patient there had the game on, so I was able to catch snippets of it. Kind of a bummer that I couldn't actually fully watch it, but I don't know if anybody else who's tuned in right now is a Toronto fan, but woohoo! Okay. Okay, that one runs off there. I just watched Survivor, actually. I came home this morning and I was going to watch it, but then I was too tired, so I got in the shower and got into bed and turned Survivor on, and then thought, no, I gotta watch it later. So I just finished watching it about an hour before I came on. Or are you asking, Michelle, are you asking Kim what she's gonna get crafty with? So yes, I don't know if there's any other Survivor fans on. I don't want to spoil anything by chit-chatting about it if people haven't watched it yet. But yes, I also had to miss that. And I haven't watched Amazing Race yet. I've got to watch that a little bit later on. I might go curl up in bed again, to be honest, after I'm done here with you guys. After taking maybe some Tylenol or something for this stupid headache and get comfortable. So I'm sinking these down into this brown, and then we'll work on that to ground that. You don't mind spoilers, eh? I have really enjoyed this season, actually. I've enjoyed watching just some of the dynamics between the cast. It's been interesting. Now I gotta be careful here because I got this fishy and I'm trying to decide how he's going to be swimming out here. So I'm going around the pencil line for the fish. And I'm sorry if I'm really loud. My voice is right beside the microphone from my phone. Is it loud? Does it feel like I'm yelling at you guys? There's never a very comfortable way to color and record because I've got my head cocked way over to the side while trying to leave this underneath for you guys to see what I'm doing. Trying to keep myself out of the way. Oh, just still laying down this initial layer here. Yeah, on my sample one, I think I had a few more seaweed strands that I had added. But this is going to work just fine. So I picked kind of this bluey green because I just thought like it goes so, and because I'm going right over top of the blue, it goes nicely with that. So I'm picking now a darker shade of green. Thanks for letting me know, Deb. This is G240. Again, this is with the Ohuhus. So what I did here, how did I establish that? So I basically kind of looked at each of these. This is a good example here as like a heart shaped. And I kind of wanted this top part of the heart to be the lighter spot. And then this little stem piece, I went a little darker with that. And then kind of came up to the bottom part of the seaweed branches there. And I mean, we've got a lot of work to do to make this look even better, but just initially, we're going to start to establish some of these areas and make these look a little more three-dimensional. It doesn't really take very long. I just need to see, I remember that I used these two, but then I've got to try to remember what else I used. Okay, and then in here, because I've added this piece in, we'll make this darker. And then let's work on this piece here. Is anybody crafting along with me, or are you just watching? Are you working on your own project right now and just have me on as background noise? Sometimes it's fun to do that. Okay. So we've got those ones starting to shade here. And your Lego, your diamond painting is a big task, like a big undertaking, but it is looking great, Kim. Hopefully you'll have some time to do that soon then. I have some drawing stuff I want to work on these days off. I've decided this set because my days off have been so busy lately. I definitely want to carve out some artsy time. It's kind of a funny piece that we drew here. I just looked here. Sorry, I'm getting a little off the screen here. Good evening, Tamara. How are you? Good to see you. Happy you're joining. How is everything in your world? Okay, so that's our mid-green. And I'm trying to remember, what did I use for the next one? I think it was G7. Again, Ohuhu's not the Copics. So yeah, I'm going to go in with this G7, I think, and just deepen that a bit. And we'll soften it. We'll go back again. We're going to keep working backwards. Let me just make sure we're going to be able to blend that out, because on the screen, my goodness, that's looking very dark. So yeah, we'll go in, soften it afterwards. I'm just making sure it's going to work before I commit to doing the whole thing like that. And then if we go back in with our lighter color here after. I think that'll work. Maybe it wasn't G7. Hold on, let me just fiddle for a minute. G7, what else might I have used? Because it was a little softer in the one that I did. I have regrets, because when I ordered this set of markers, I didn't order the full set, because I wasn't sure if I'd like them. And I do like them. They're not as good as Copic, definitely not. But they're I do wish that I had got the full set. And of course, now we can't. So I don't think it was W4. So I'm just, let me look at this for a sec. Maybe did I use some of this? This is a warm gray 4. Yeah, maybe we'll use a bit of that. But yes, now I wish I would have just gone ahead and ordered the full set. I can't believe I didn't actually record, because I wrote a list of like what I used for the fish and what I used for the water and everything, because I didn't do a full sample, but I just did, you know, brief mock-up. But for whatever reason, I forgot to write down the colors for these. Oh, food delivery sounds good. Right now, I wasn't really in the mood to eat. We had some leftover steak that Dean had barbecued, but yeah, I'm just feeling a bit off, so I thought I'll probably just make myself a grilled cheese after. So I'm just building up the shading in these. This almost looks like this little piece has a little bend to it. So I'm going to go with that. Okay, and then I'll go in with my lighter one here and just soften it all. Okay, now let's work a little bit more on this piece that's branching off here. How's everybody doing? It is, and you know, the thing is, we actually don't usually have like store-bought bread in the house because Dina and I don't really eat it very much. But I had bought some for something else, and so we had a little bit left over. And I was like, you know what? I haven't had a grilled cheese in a very long time. So I made one the other day, and it was very good. So I think I might do that afterwards and see how that sits. And just dab back in with this lighter one here. I don't want to actually be sick though, because I've booked, because my husband's birthday was on May the 4th, and then my son's birthday is May the 10th, and I had booked axe throwing and archery for tomorrow night for us, and the guys have done it before, and I've wanted to go, but I always end up working like when we've had you know, visitors down, and that's been something that's kind of fun to do. So I don't want to miss out on it again. So that's tomorrow night at 7. We're supposed to be doing the axe throwing, and I have no expectations to be any good at it. But I am looking forward to it because I think it'll be fun. But then I saw they also have booked there, or they also have at this place. And I'm like, man, actually, this would be fun. Something called a rage room, where I think you could just like go and smash stuff. And like, that would be so much fun, just to take out your frustration on that stuff. And then my daughter just sent me a message, and it looks like this place, now I have to look into this, but it looks like they might be doing some like survivor type challenges, like outdoor stuff in the summer. I've got to look into it more, because I'm like, oh my goodness, that would be fun. So I'm going to be checking that out as well. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to miss out tomorrow night. So this is the W4. No, what did I say? WG4. And then we'll go back in with the darker green here again. I like I said, I don't anticipate being any good. I remember trying archery once when I was a kid at summer camp that I went to. It was a horse camp, actually, but they had a bunch of other stuff to do. Like we went canoeing, and there was swimming, and they had like those rope courses through the trees and stuff. And so it was, I remember thinking it was a lot of fun. So I'm going to have to channel my inner Merida and see if I can't do a great job with the archery. We'll see. I'm sure I'm going to be awful. What did she say? I'll be fighting for my own hand. I can't do accents, so I'm not going to try. Okay, so we've got that side done there. I'm going to go back in with this deeper green here, and I'm just going to add, oh, that might still be a little bit wet, but let's see. I'm just going to add some texture into some of the leaves, like almost like a vein. And I think I might need to use the gray for that. Yeah, that'll work. And just deepening the shadows a little bit there. little bit of texture into these. There we go. I think I'll leave it at that for that one. Let's hope, Deb? Okay, let's quickly build up this one a little bit here too. So we did already lace some of the shadows in, but let's go in and do a little more. How are we doing time-wise? Oh, it's almost 8, so we've been going for about an hour. Try to keep it to the 2-hour mark. I don't know if I'll be quicker than that, to be honest, just because we still have to get to our jellyfish here too. But we'll see what we can get done. How many people participated last week in International Scrapbook Day stuff? Did you see the challenges and such that we had? And there were classes from some of the design team. And of course that new set that Kim released, True North Strong and Free. If she's here still, Kim, maybe you can, do you want to throw the link up to that? And just so that if people are curious, if they haven't seen it, they can see what we're talking about. Like I said, at the end, I'll see if I've got my sample card. I left one of them with Kim last week, but I did take one home. I think I've got it in my bag here still. But you'll want to check that out. And yes, it is a Canadian themed stamp set, but you can use it for many different things. So you could use it for fall, or can use it if you're a Leafs fan. You could use the because they have the characters have maple leafs on their shirts. You could make them into hockey jerseys. But like I said, you could do it for fall, like a fall scrapbook spread, or use it on your calendar for your fall pages and stuff. So it's, even though yes, it's a Canadian stamp set, a Canadian themed stamp set, lots of opportunities for creativity there with it. So you don't have to lock yourself into it and say, oh, I don't need a Canada Day stamp. No, you do need it because it's cute and you can use it for many things. Oh, that's fun. You got caught up, eh? Excellent. Okay, grab my lightest color of green here. We'll just kind of blend this all out. So as you can see, this is quite a different look with using the stencil than if you just used it with our inks. So you definitely can do that. You can add some shading on top of our inks too. So if you wanted to just establish your background and use some of our green inks, like, you know, Charming Chartreuse or Lucky Limeade or whatever, you can certainly do that, and then add some additional shading with markers on top of it. Or this is, like I said, kind of a different way to look at using it. And gives you the groundwork to make a fun background. Okay, and then I'll just add a little bit more shading there. Thank you, Kim. That's the link, I think, for the True North Strong and Free set. And so, yeah, you'll see where maybe some people who or who have bought the stamp set or have it, you'll see things popping up because it was a pre-order, right, Kim? So you'll maybe see some awesome projects popping up by some of our crafty customers as they make some awesome projects with it. Okay, and then we'll just add, sorry, I know my hand's in the way here, but just add some texture to a few of these leaves. I guess I kind of like a vein running through them. Not all of them, just a couple. This one has a little bubble in the middle there from the jellyfish stamp there. I don't know why I keep wanting to call him a squid, and I know he's not, but every time I go to say jellyfish, I have to pause because squid wants to come out of my mouth. There. Whoops, that was way too dark. Let's just soften that a little bit. There we go. Okay, so this is when we've got this part done. So see, there you go. It is still available because, yes, the pre-order sold out. But this is when we're going to go in, and I want to start to make the ground, like, make it look like these stalks of seaweed, sorry, words are kind of hard right now, are sunk into the bottom of the ocean floor here. So I'm just going to add just some texture in. Dotting some texture in, but also doing some lines there. I've got a little dark patch there, so I might as well do that. And then let's grab that mid-range brown again. Just soften that up a little bit. Grab one of the lighter browns and then just go over that again to soften it. And this one here. And then we'll go back to this one again. Oh, really? Archery is part of PE in the US. That's fun. That's very interesting. Hello, Ellie. How are you? Okay, so just there we go. And then where's that darker brown there again? There we go. And just like the water, really loose blending there. Okay, and then just gonna add just like some random little dots just in for texture in the sand. And because the paper's still a bit wet right now, it's blending nicely, and so they're kind of subtle. going to go back in because I kind of blended out this plant a bit. And we can even take that gray and add like a little bit of a shadow. There we go. How does that look? I think that'll work. Let's color a couple of those fish. I might just do a couple of them and then we can move on to the main attraction of tonight's video here. As for the fish, what did I use? I used YR250. Where is it? YR250 E490. Do I already have that one out? I do not. E490. Why can't I see it? And Y9, that one I can see. My goodness. Bear with me for a moment. That's one of the problems with these Ohuhu markers is that the like the colors on the tube, oh there it is, don't always look like what the numbers say there. So I just want to remind myself which is the lightest color here, which will be that one there. And then this one is, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my lightest one, which is my YR250. And it's going to look a little muted. I mean, in theory, I probably should have gone all over that jellyfish just so that he was kind of muted too. But because I want to do like a pinky kind of color, I don't know that it was going to work out. Now, let me just see here. Dabbing this color into that outline of that fish. And I lost the bottom fin, so we're just going to wing it there. Okay, so just a loose outline there, and we'll build up some extra shading. Okay, so just a very easy first layer in there, just to block our color in. And then I'm going to go in with my mid-range here, and I'm going to start to add a little bit of shading in. So it almost makes your stencils double as a stamp, if you will, because you can make them look a little bit more realistic if you so choose. Okay, so I'm just starting to add that little bit of shading in. Nothing too fussy. We'll go in with the darker one here. And I'm just looking at my sample. So we'll bring these little fish to life here. Okay, I'm going to go back to my main color here and just blend all this out a bit. Go back to my mid color. That's actually my darkest one. That's okay though. I'm going to add just a little bit more texture in. So I'm adding kind of some little strokes into the tail and into the fins. And maybe just like a couple little spots to suggest scales. We'll add an eye in. There we go. And then we'll just soften that a little bit. Go back in with the lighter color here. Okay, and then okay, I think we'll leave it like that for the fish. Now we've got to start to color our jellyfish. And like I said, I think I'm going to go with a pinky purple color. I'm just trying to look for my little swatch card that I made earlier. There it is. And I just want to, yeah, I think we'll go with that. I don't want to do the blue purple. So I'm just going to keep with some of these Ohuhu markers. And we're going to go in with, I think this was the lightest color I chose. So I'm going to start in with this RV 160. And so we'll just start. I find you can't get quite the blending with these that you do with Copics. So I'm just going to go in and lay an initial layer fully down. A lot of times with Copics, I find I leave certain areas white to the end and work towards that as my highlight, but these ones don't work quite the same, but I still think we'll be able to get a nice finished product. So we'll just go ahead and add in, like I said, just a flat layer of my initial color here. And go in with the tentacles here. Such a fun expression on these characters in this stamp set, their eyes. Love them. It's funny because on my sample that I made, my fish were a little bit lighter, so I must have maybe, you know what I think I did? I think I went in a little heavier with the blue on the water than I had initially done. And they do look a little bit more muted, which is fine because I kind of want them to be background. I don't want them to be as bright and vibrant as our jellyfish here, who is the main character. So that kind of makes them look, yeah, they're a little deeper in the scene. And they're living within the water, right? So coloring over top of that blue, it makes everything a bit harmonious. But this guy here, he's gonna be pretty bright. Okay, I'm gonna take my next color, which will be, just remind myself here, was it the P3 or was it, yeah, I'll go in with this P3. I'm just gonna start to build some dimension here. It's been a while since I've done no lines coloring too. I used to do it all the time. I do find these will bleed a little easier, so I want to be careful that I'm leaving the whites of his eyes. I'm just going to go right back in with the lighter pink color and just kind of work back and forth a little to blend them together here. We're just going to be careful to not let this bleed. I didn't have like the perfect purple blend, so I had to kind of fiddle and find something that I thought would still work. There we go. And go back into that lighter color here. Come into, this is V160 in the Ohuhus. And we'll come right back in and see if we can get these colors to blend. It's not too bad. So I'm just kind of doing these scalloped edges of his face here. And just creating a little bit of a shadow there. I'm wondering if one of my Copic, I don't have very many Copic purples, but I just want to check a couple of them here. That one might work. This is V06. We're just going to go right in. So you can use these marker brands together. I'm going to turn this a little bit, guys. Whoops. I can just find one more shadow that will work. Let me look. That's gonna, I don't know about that. Hold on. Well, let's put a little dab down and see. This is V17. No, that's too blue. I don't like that. And so many of my Copics are dry. That's too dark as well. Okay, so we'll just keep with the V06 then. And then we may try to add a little bit of gray in for a darker shadow, but this might be okay. So no lines coloring is a lot of fun. Some people think it's a bit intimidating. It's not really. It's just that you have to establish your, like, the boundaries of your image like that. You don't have the black lines to do that for you. So you just have to work a little harder to do that on your own. I'm just trying to decide what color I can use as a shadow that will work. I wonder if, no, that's not going to work. I wonder if this will work. This is N5 in the Copics. That may not be the worst. I think we can make that work. And then the V06 again. Here we go. And then we'll go into, this was my mid-range in the Ohuhus here. I'm going to turn this, okay? In with our lighter color here again. I'm wondering if I've got a Copic that might work over top of that. No, not really. I think we'll bring in the mid-range and this just start to close the gaps a little bit. And let me just look here. I feel like the V04 is too vibrant for what I was going for. Well, we'll just make it work. Now, I'm not going to do any more right now because I don't want to push this ink into that eye. So I'm going to let that area dry. And then I'm going to come back in and define that a little bit more. It is just a matter of practice, yeah. Okay, let's start to add some shadows in with these tentacles here. I'm kind of looking to see, because some of them are sitting behind other ones. So I'm dropping in some shadows on those ones that are a little further back. I just can't find quite the right shadow color for these, so that's making it a little bit challenging, but it's still coming together though. And we'll soften these blends up in a minute here. You just have to think with your no lines in terms of building up your shadows and your highlights to like to create that form in your subject matter so that you've still got that dynamic shading. You're bringing some areas closer to you as the viewer and pushing others back. And when you have your image stamped in black ink, it kind of does that for you, but you're having to really establish those, like I said, those boundaries of those sections of your images. So you can think in sections and think what is closer to me and what is further away, and then use your shadows and highlights to do that for you instead of those black lines. So it can be a bit intimidating the first few times you do it, but it's not that bad once you've taken the dive and tried it. And it's quite a nice look because it's a bit more of a painterly look to your images. Okay, let's grab that Copic. It is Friday tomorrow. That's crazy, eh? The week has flown by. This coffee chat, will it be at 10, Kim, as usual? I think that's what time it's typically at. a.m. Be there or be square. That just aged me. Who says that anymore, eh? Weren't we talking about that last weekend? Sayings from when you were, like from when we were younger? I think Kim and Carrie and I and Alexis and Tammy, like when we were hanging out last week, we were talking about some sayings from when we were younger. Also, I just saw Kim say she needs chocolate. I too could go for chocolate. Oops. Okie doke. Let's go in with our lighter color here and just try to blend that out a bit. Soften it. I'm gonna grab my mid-range here. There we go. How's that looking when I move my hand out of the way? I'm just going to go in with this gray here. I feel like that's a bit too strong of a gray. About 3 and 3. Let's try that. That's a little better. So this is N3 in the Copic range. And just adding this in to push some of the sections back behind other ones and bring some forward. Oops. Okay, I'm going to use that VO6 just to try to clean up around the eye a little bit. And then he's got these little eyebrows. I'm just bringing my stamp back in so I can see where they are exactly. And he's got these little bits that are almost like hair. I'll bring those in. And he's got an eyebrow here. And eyebrow here. Kind of a quizzical look. Sorry, I'm saying an eyebrow here and an eyebrow there, and you guys can't see what I'm doing because my hand's in the way. Thank you, Tamara. Just cleaning up a little bit here. I'm going to take a little bit of that gray and put a little bit in there, Okay. Now I'm going to decide what color I want his eyes to be. I think we'll go with, I'll take this PB7 that we used a bit in the water. And we'll color it, and then we'll go in with a fine liner to do his pupils. We'll start with that. And then I need to just pull out, let me see, that's going to be too big. This is my 0.1 micron here, and we will add his pupils in. Hopefully this won't seem too dark. There's no other black in the image here. So we'll add that in and leave the little highlight. And I will probably go in with my white pen to fix those highlights up a bit, but that just brings him to life as well, adding those eyes in like that. So that's kind of fun. And then I'm going to go to these bubbles, and I'm going to just try to make these work a little more here. I'm going to take the mid-tone that we used and put a little shadow on the bottom side here. Of these bubbles. There's one right there too. Okay, and I'm going to take the darker blue here and add a bit more of a shadow underneath. And we'll blend that out a little with the lighter one. And we'll add a white highlight in when we're done that. Excuse me, sorry. Just that mid-tone there again. Oh, that's the lighter one, sorry. And my white pen, where's that? Should be in here. Here it is. So I've got this Sharpie creative marker, and I'm just going to bring a little bit more of a white highlight into his eyes there, and then we'll just do a little bit of a highlight on these bubbles. And I think we'll call that done. You still say ew or cringe? Sorry, I gotta look back and see if I missed any comments there. Gag me with a spoon. We talked about that one, remember? Gag me with a spoon. Cool beans. What else did we talk about? We were like gnarly, a radical, groovy. We were saying all these things. Anyways, it was a lot of fun. So that is our finished image. Let me get that scrap piece of paper out. And so tonight we used, my goodness, you'd think I would be able to find things. They're right on my table. We used the Shello stamp set. I'm just trying to find my backing for my stamp set. If you guys could see the mountain of markers I have here, it's crazy. So that's the Shello stamp set. And we put the links up in the, I gotta zoom out. Nope, I always go the wrong way every single time. We used the Shello stamp set. We did provide the link for that earlier. We used the Underwater Scenery Stencil, which does come in two parts. The second part is like the little bubbles there, but we just used the first part where we used the seaweed and the fish to sketch in our background there. Okay. Links to those are in the conversation earlier. And then we also used our Totally Taupe ink to stamp our image out for the no lines technique. So hope you enjoyed that. I'm just going to zoom back in a little bit. And now, of course, I really went the wrong way. My goodness, you'd think this is my first time. So that is our finished image. But I did want to show you, pardon me, while I try to see what I did with it. There it is. I just wanted to talk about that True North Strong and Free stamp set as well, to make sure that you guys go and check that out. And you can look at the videos that were up from the weekend, but this is the card that I had made during my live video there, with the stamp set. The only thing I hadn't done yet was gone in to put glossy accents on the maple syrup. But this one used our Summer Sunbeams stencil, and our Ruby Red ink, and then of course the True North Strong and Free stamp set. But like you said, we were saying you could use these characters for lots of different things. But make sure if you haven't yet, go check that out, and you can purchase that in the stamps in the Craft and Kimmy stamp shop right now. And like I said, you can find Shallow and the Underwater Scenery Stencil in the shop as well. Each Thursday, you can join one of the design team members doing a Throwback Thursday, where we encourage you to use some of those treasures that are in your Craft and Kimmy stamps collection. And if you don't already own what we're going to use, Kim posts in advance so that you have a chance to purchase those products if you want to participate in the upcoming videos with our designers. I don't know who's up next. For next week. But like I said, we do have something every Thursday, so make sure to join us. Thanks so much for hanging out. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time. Bye.